what a wonderful topic. 3 affluent research takeaways that you really do need to know. And I can frame this around a situation that this just occurred with one of our coaching clients. Here is the wife of an affluent client. Now, she sets up a meeting with their CPA. And the meeting is set up for both husband and wife. And at that meeting, it's determined that the family really needs a financial plan, and the financial advisor is not at the meeting, has not provided a plan. And so a second meeting is established. The financial advisor's there, the CPA's there, and their attorney there who's done estate work for them in the past. The meeting is basically directed by the CPA and the spouse. And it becomes apparent that the advisor really isn't an expert in financial planning, and he's sort of referencing the home office of his firm, to which both the wife and the CPA aren't really comfortable with. And the CPA basically says, listen, I have a financial planner that I'm comfortable with, that I use with our affluent clients such as yourself. I feel more comfortable using our financial planner. Fade in, fade out. They meet with the planner. They've never seen this planner before, but on that recommendation, he gets the information, comes back with a plan. They purchase the plan. There is action steps to take from the plan, and then the planner asks for permission to review the investments that are still being held by the financial advisor. I mean, this is the world that we're living in today. And our research is very, very clear. Every year we do parallel research projects. We do research projects on the affluent. This year we broke it down into non-affluent and affluent for a comparison, and we do research on advisors. Before we do the actual studies, we do focus groups. And it's interesting, the focus group we have this year with the affluent, these are all $1 million investable. They range from $1 million to $15 million of investable assets. We ask them a basic question: are they satisfied with their advisor? And they all say, yes, they are. But when we get into the focus group, we ask them if there's one thing this primary advisor can improve upon, what might that be? And it's always communication, communication, communication. And then when they're asked, would you take a second opinion from somebody if it was recommended that you trusted and respected, and it's unanimous? They would. No different than the story I just started with this affluent client, who's being recommended a financial planner by the CPA. You see, word of mouth influence is everything in today's world of the affluent. It is everything. It's how they make their primary decisions. Do you know somebody? Do you suggest somebody? Is somebody's recommended? It's interesting. The Google Keller-Fay group, they say that 82% of conversations, about brands occur through word of mouth, face to face, not online. And there's 2.4 billion of these conversations involving brands every day. Now, what you want to make certain that those conversations are positive and about you in your world of the affluent. You don't want those conversations going along the lines of, my advisor's not really that engaged, takes a lot of time off, my CPA's really coordinating all that, and my CPA's recommended a planner from out of town that we're using. That's not the word of mouth you want. You want the word of mouth that, boy, you have to trust my guy. My guy is great. So from that perspective, we look at how did the affluent really discover their advisor. This is the affluent talking to you live. They're basically saying, I was introduced by a friend. I approached this person personally. This is a reputation, word of mouth reputation thing. I was introduced by a family member. I was introduced by another professional. Exactly how that financial planner was introduced to Miss Affluent client and her husband, well, it was a recommendation from another professional, introduced by another professional. And so introductions here, personal introductions, are everything. It's king, queen, prince, and princess with today's affluent. So if you really want to master the affluent space, you got to get masterful in orchestrating personal introductions. And personal introductions are a component of this word-of-mouth influence. Now, from the personal introduction, the affluent are telling us how they make the final selection. How do they determine, they're going to make a change? They're going to change from financial advisor A to financial advisor B, or in the situation I just described, from their financial advisor A to a financial planner. Well, it's a strong recommendation from someone they trust. Well, so the CPA, by the way, is the quarterback in that relationship. The advisor had an opportunity, or should have had an opportunity, to be that quarterback. Today's affluent want one professional really coordinating this expertise, overseeing the multidimensional aspect of their family's financial affairs. And obviously, in the example, this case earlier, the financial advisor was just handling the money and probably doing a trustworthy job with the money, but wasn't coordinating every aspect of the family's financial affairs. That was the CPA. Obviously, Mrs. Affluent there felt more comfortable and had more trust in the CPA. The CPA recommended a financial planner, and that is everything. So they were personally introduced by the CPA and recommended, all in the same meeting. And then it's the reputation of the individual. So what's your reputation? Well, your reputation has to be stellar if you're getting recommended. And so, for instance, this financial planner, this affluent couple had never heard of this financial planner, had never encountered this financial planner, but because it was recommended by the CPA who they trusted, the reputation of that individual was really part and parcel to the process. That impacted the reputation. They just, all that planner could have done is made a bad first impression. But the planner made a very good first impression, obviously, because he's now working to get all of their business. And then there comes the reputation of the firm. The firm plays third fiddle in this game. You are the brand, because just as I explained with that financial planner, you have to collapse, a recommendation from someone you trust and your reputation. Because if your reputation is poor, you're not going to be recommended. So you collapse those two and you're the brand. And I dare to say, I bet you this affluent couple doesn't even know really the name of the firm this financial planner is operating with. But the recommendation came from the CPA, who they apparently have a very strong degree of trust with, and so therefore impacts the reputation. The reputation of this financial planner is very strong. So you think about it, everything about you counts, everything about you. It's not only how you dress, but how you develop rapport, how you listen, how you ask questions. And we talk about this listening thing over and over and over again. Nobody trusts people who talk too much. They really trust people who sincerely listen. Now, in the focus groups, some of the insights we got are really incredible. Think about this. The credibility of the referring party and the strength of the referral is what matters. Again, the credibility of the referring party. So how do we get that word of mouth working for us in the right credible circles? And I selected my advisor from a trusted referral, and I'm happy with the relationship. Again, no different than that financial planner scenario I've been referencing here. We selected, that affluent couple selected that financial planner through a trusted referral, which was really a personal introduction and a recommendation. So you can't get away from this. Word of mouth influence is the key. Now, if you go from word of mouth influence, you realize Why is all this? Because trust is fragile. I mean, it is so fragile. The fact of the matter is that with the affluent female playing a major role in decision making now and a major role in the loyalty, they have 36% trust factor of a financial advisor today. That's horrible. 36%. They don't. It's not that they think their financial advisor is necessarily dishonest, but they don't maybe trust that he or she knows what they're doing or working hard enough on their behalf or is paying attention to all the details. Or in the case of Mrs. Affluent, who's hiring a financial planner, is capable of doing financial planning or works hard enough to do the financial planning. So trust is so fragile. They don't trust advertising. Of all the industries out there, I mean, financial services is below, it's below 50%. The only one that's higher than 50% is computers, and that's at 52%, and that's skewed by Apple, the Apple stores, the iPads, the iPhone, the Apple experience. But billions of dollars are wasted now on advertising, and it's not being trusted by today's affluent. So when you go to the trust, what would cause your advisor to leave? What would cause you to basically fire your advisor? Well, number one is loss of trust. We lost trust. And I'm not exactly sure about that financial planner, why he's in the mix and now why the financial advisor lost the trust. But obviously trust was lost. And it doesn't have to be an ethical thing. It could be we lost trust in the fact that they really care about us, or they're working hard enough, or are they keeping up with the times? Do they understand, our family's needs right now? But then that's followed by repeated mistakes. And repeated mistakes, I mean, it's interesting here. Solving a problem for today's affluent is one of the key criteria for strengthening loyalty. But multiple problems, i.e. repeated mistakes, is one of the fastest things that'll drive them away. So you really have to have a high level of FedEx efficiency in your practice. And we're talking about the affluent. And it's an important distinction. You can't be all things to all people. But when we're dealing with your affluent clientele, you want to be really, Johnny and Sally on the spot. And then the third is not following through. And not following through is linked directly to lack of trust. Because it's amazing, whether it's the focus group or whether it's our empirical data, today's affluent don't feel as though they're being personally communicated with in a timely manner by their financial advisor. They want personal communication, they want timely communication, and they do not, and let me repeat this, do not want mechanical communication. All the emails, these ghost-written e-letters. And by the way, if you're using a ghost-written e-letter, I would sit down with every affluent client and I would ask them face to face, hey, please tell me, honestly, you're not going to hurt my feelings. Are you reading the e-letter that we send you, our newsletter? And if they don't tell you they love it, stop sending it, because it's being perceived as mechanical. And mechanical means no follow-through. So just be careful. Now, going back to the focus group, here are some comments. These are just commentaries that are coming unsolicited. I trust my financial advisor because of my personal experience with him. And here we have empirical data that says, today's affluent want a personal relationship with their advisor because of this trust factor. In fact, we now have over a 2-year trend in this. The more we get intimate with our affluent clients, the metrics and how we're rated in performance goes up in every category. And here you go. Radio and TV talk shows sometimes are out for more ratings. So I mean, sure, it's good entertainment, but is this really trustworthy information? And here the affluent are saying, this is anecdotal, we have empirical data on this, but anecdotally they're basically saying, we don't really trust these. It's on all the time. We don't trust it. If you have CNBC on in your office, in your reception area, turn it off. You don't want to be firing up, your clients, especially your affluent clients, as they're waiting to meet with you and they're listening to some, Kramer or somebody screaming silliness at them. And, they're entertainers. And you should play the Nature Channel. Play something that's sort of, neutral and calming, and have calming music out there, and have, People Magazine, Sports Illustrated, National Geographic, not the Journal and all these financial publications. And then the third here, so we got the trust factor, going on here, and the third is buzz. And you might think buzz is the same of word of mouth influence. And yeah, they are absolutely interrelated. But how do you create affluent buzz? Well, recently I was told this story, and it's a wonderful story, about an affluent client pulls his Mercedes, very large Mercedes, into the Ritz-Carlton valet parking. He's staying at the Ritz-Carlton, and he has, and he forgot about it, but there was a bottle of Gatorade that was maybe had about a quarter of it left in his cup holder. And the valet takes the car, parks the car, fade in, fade out. This affluent client is checking out, gets his car delivered by the valet parking attendant, gets in his car, and as he drives away, notices that there was a brand new full bottle of cold Gatorade in his cup holder. And he was beside himself. That created a buzz. He told that story everywhere he went. Could you believe what they did? This is the Ritz-Carlton experience. What a personal touch. It cost $1. $1 for a bottle of cold Gatorade, to somebody who spent, who knows how much money he spent staying in the Ritz-Carlton for a couple of days, or a couple of nights, I should say. But for $1, the buzz was just generating. Not anything else about the Ritz, not that he had a bad experience. So what do you do that's personal, that can create buzz? You see, I share that story because it cost $1 for the buzz. So creating affluent buzz, which basically is sort of the igniter of this positive word-of-mouth influence, doesn't cost a lot of money. It just has to be thoughtful. It has to be timely. So you have to be paying attention. You want to be thinking out towards your affluent clients, what are some real nice little touches that we could do? And it should be an agenda item, by the way, on every weekly meeting. Part of your agenda item should be, how do we create buzz? We call it surprise and delight. How do we surprise and delight our clients? That was a surprise to see that bottle of Gatorade cold in his cup holder. And he was delighted as he left, drinking a nice cold, bottle of Gatorade in his big Mercedes. And, that cost $1. He didn't ask for it. It was just a nice little touch. So think about this. We create affluent buzz as well as do a good job. The Ritz-Carlton was the Ritz-Carlton. They did not interfere with his experience there as a guest, but the buzz was created by a personal touch. So, affluent investors need something to talk about. You see, they make their decisions on emotions. Buzz is stimulated on emotions. And, only 50% are claiming they're really satisfied with their advisor. And by the way, satisfaction isn't loyalty. They're really satisfied. Doesn't mean they're loyal. Satisfaction is an emotional feeling. Yeah, we're doing okay. Yeah, we're all right. But you want to have that emotional buzz factor where they're really very happy. And only 33% said they had a business and a personal, a social relationship. In other words, only a third basically had the intimacy that breeds loyalty, that breeds this positive buzz factor. And and they see their advisors, less than 3 times a year. I mean, so this, you get out. How do you create affluent buzz if you barely interact with your affluent clientele? This is an opportunity for all advisors. You think about this. Word of mouth influence is everything. Trust is fragile. And creating affluent buzz on an emotional level is personal. It just takes paying attention. You do that, and you're really dealing with what you need to know relative to today's affluent. Now, we've had a number of questions about an upcoming book that I co-authored with my colleague here, Stephen Boswell. And so because of that, we're pre-selling really a limited number of pre-orders on this book. It's coming out October 7th. It's Best Practices of Elite Advisors. It's taken all the research we've done over the past couple of years and blended it into a book. It's sort of a take-home manual, so to speak, on excellence, on what the best of the best are doing. And we've broke it down in a very usable, bit-by-bit, step-by-step action steps that if you read it, you'll be able to apply it. So if you want to pre-order, it's just a limited number. You can go to oechsli.com/best practices. You can watch a video on it, and then you can order your copy.